So if you want to go live on Twitch for the first time, I'm about to make this the easiest process you'll ever do. You have my full permission to abuse me in the comments if you don't know how to go live by the end of this video. Trust me, you will. So the one thing you're going to need first is some streaming software, which is completely free, and there's two main options people use. You can use Streamlabs OBS or OBS Studio. So once you've downloaded OBS and you've opened it up, this will be what you see for the first time. You'll have a big black square, and then down here you'll have scenes, sources, audio mixer, scene transitions, and then a bunch of controls. So the first thing you're going to want to do, of course, is go to the settings and make it so that you can actually stream to Twitch from OBS. So you want to click the settings button, click on stream, and then on service, pick Twitch or whichever platform you want to stream to, and then connect your account. Usually it's just a login and then you're good to go. I'd recommend doing it that way. You can use a stream key, which you can find in your Twitch settings on actual Twitch itself, but OBS recommends this. I recommend this. It's just a bit easier to log in as well, and you'll have less issues this way overall. Once you've got that done, click apply and OK, and then when you click start streaming now, whatever is on this screen will start streaming over to Twitch. So the actual setup part there is pretty painless, but of course you don't want to just be streaming a black screen, so let's get the rest set up for you. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to scenes and click the plus icon and create a scene just called streaming. This scene will essentially house all of the stuff in your sources that you want on that screen, and then I'll show you how to do a starting screen and a BRB screen later on as well. But first of all, let's go over to sources and let's add our webcam as our first thing. So you want to click the plus icon here and you want to click video capture device. Then I'd recommend calling it something handy that you'll remember, like webcam. Click OK and it'll open up a box of how to configure this for you. You'll have a device drop down here that will show you all of the eligible cameras that are actually plugged into your PC currently. So make sure your webcam's plugged in and select it from this list. I will say if you've got your webcam open in another software, it won't pop up and work properly. For example, I'm currently recording myself in another software, so I'm going to have to stop recording there and put it over here. Once it's all set up as well, you should have a pop-up here of the preview, and if it doesn't, try deactivating, activating it, try unselecting, reselecting, etc., and make sure you don't have it open in another program, as I said. You can also configure your settings here a little bit if you want to up and down the brightness or the contrast, for example, make it a little bit nicer. In fact, I might leave mine a bit brighter because it was quite dark in here. But once you've got it all set up as you would like to, I would leave the rest of this sort of stuff alone for now and just click OK. Then, as you'll see, you've got a webcam all nice and set up in your software, and you can move it around by dragging and dropping it with your mouse. You can also shorten it or widen it by pulling in the corners. And if you hold down Alt, your left Alt key, you can kind of bring in the sides as well if you want to sort of make it a little bit thinner. I tend to go for something like that when I'm streaming, but it's up to you. That's a nice little way of changing it though without having to do too much fancy work. But cool, you've got your webcam. Now, what do you want in the background? Probably a game. So to add a game into the background, you need to go to the plus icon on sources again to add something that's going to capture it. There is a few options this time. So you have display capture. This will capture an entire screen. So if you have multiple monitors, you can basically have a drop down, which I'll show you now. So when you add it into your sources, we'll have an automatic one that will capture an open program, but it'll also have a display. I've got 4 monitors, so it's asking me which one it would like to do. For example, if I pick this one, it will just be showing this monitor, and it's kind of spooky. What I would actually recommend doing is not doing a display capture and doing one of the other options, which is either game capture or window capture. If you are doing gaming streams, it's in the title, try game capture. You want to add that in, call it something like game screen or game capture. You can leave it as it is if you like, and then it will capture any full screen application. So let me open up a game just to show you what that looks like. There we go. So as you can see, I've opened up Among Us, and this is a good time to point out that the order that these are in will be the order they appear here. So you can see my webcam is underneath the game. So to get that back, you need to drag this above the game screen, and then bam, I'm back. Once you've got your game loaded as well, you can also resize it here by doing this. You can do the same thing as you would with your webcam. You can do this with basically any source in OBS. Now that's the bare bones of a gaming stream setup. You've got your webcam and you've got your gaming, but you also need to make sure that your mic settings and your audio are all correct as well. So let's head down to the audio mixer. So desktop audio will basically be your game audio. You want to click the 3 dots here and just make sure in properties it's picking up whatever you're listening to the audio through. So if you've got a headset on, pick your headset. For example, my headset's here, so I would click OK, and then anything that comes through my headset, so my game sound, will then be what the people hear on stream. In terms of the level here, I recommend doing this slider until the game audio is kind of hitting the edge of the green. Maybe don't go into the red because it can be a little bit abrupt in people's headphones. And as for the mic as well, similar kind of thing. I usually have my mic a little bit higher than the game so people can definitely hear me, but again, try and make sure it's going maximum into the yellow. You don't really want it going into the the red because it's, again, quite loud, as you probably just heard. The same applies for the mic though. Click the three dots, click properties, and pick the microphone you're using from your list. And if you can't see it there, go into your Windows settings and just make sure your mic's set up properly, or try unplugging it, plugging it back in. The really good way to fix stuff. Yeah. But that's your audio setup as well. Now, another thing people like to have on stream is pop-ups. So when people follow you, when they subscribe, when they donate, when they do anything of that kind, you'll have a little pop-up that sort of shows that they've done that, plays a little jingle for them, and it's a nice little way to engage chat. So the best way to do that is to make a Streamlabs account in your browser to essentially set these up to then bring over to OBS. So I'll show you how to do that now, just in brief. So go to streamlabs.com, make an account and log in with your Twitch, and you'll have an account here with just a bunch of different options. The only thing you're going to need though is alert box. Once you're here, you'll notice that you have a widget URL. That'll be really important in a minute because that's how you get it to pop up in your OBS. But essentially along the side, once you've clicked on the alert box, you'll have follows, subscriptions, bits, raids. And if you do click on each one, you'll have a customizable option for images, what you'd like it to say, the kind of noise it will make or the sound effect you want to put in, how it fades, how long it lasts, what text you want, etc. And you have that for each thing. So you have follows, subscriptions, bits and raids, and all of the ones that you'd like. If you're just starting out, all you already need is follows. You won't get subscriptions and bits until you're an affiliate anyway, so I'd recommend at very least just setting up the follow one, maybe a donation one as well, and then you're good to go. Once you've fully customized everything you'd like to here, you want to click on copy the widget. Don't share this with anyone because it will be something people can fiddle with. Keep this to yourself. I'd recommend not even showing it to your own eyes. And once you've copied this, go back to OBS. And now with that link, you want to click plus here in sources, and this time add a browser source. And I'd recommend calling this something like alerts. Click OK on it and you'll have this generic OBS link, but you want to Control V or paste the link that you just got here and click OK. Now you'll have a blank box that you'll notice here. You want to make sure this one's at the very top here of your list so it pops up above the game and above the webcam. And then I'd recommend moving it around in somewhere into the middle or anywhere that you'd like it to go. Maybe make it a little bit smaller as well. And once you have this set up here, you can actually test it to make sure it's working. To test it, you want to go back to alert box, click on the widget that you want to test, and there'll be a test button here, and you can click test Twitch follows. And once you click that test button, you should see a pop-up like that. And you can see that one's quite loud, so you can go back and sort of fiddle with it to change the volume, etc. Let me know if you do want a full video on that, because I did fly through that and that can be a bit of a complicated process to set up the alerts, and I can definitely make a full video on how to break that all down if you would like. So now you have your alerts set up, and whenever someone follows you, it'll automatically pop up right here for you. So that's your webcam, the game, and the alerts all set up and ready to go. You can add other things as well. For argument's sake, I won't overcomplicate this video, but you can add borders, you can add webcam overlays. To add things like that, you can click the plus icon in sources again, and you can either add a media source if you've got something animated, which I'll show you an example of now. So click media source, click OK as you normally would, and then you want to browse your computer files and find the file that you want. So I've picked this, for example. You can do GIFs and it will basically just show you an animated thing. You will notice it will disappear after a while, and if it does, make sure you've got it set to loop, and that way it will constantly loop and it will never disappear. So this is good if you want to add something that's animated like a GIF, or let's say you have a border at the bottom of your screen that's sort of rotating different information, or if you have a sort of webcam overlay that moves a little bit. It's a good way of doing those kind of things. Let's get rid of that for now though, and I'll also show you how to add images if they're still rather than animated. So again, if you have an overlay or if you have a border that is like a still image, click plus, and then instead of doing the media source, just do image, and then the same rules apply. Click OK, browse your files, and then once you found the image you want, there you go. So that's a big old picture of me. It'd be a bit of a weird one to have on stream, but you know, you can pick your overlays and sort of move them around on your webcam as you wish. But like I said, I won't overcomplicate it for now. I just want to get you off the ground and making sure that you can stream with a good quality stream without too much effort. And honestly, I would recommend not covering too much of your stream with too much fancy and distracting artwork. If you're gaming, I would make the game the focus, have your webcam off to one of the sides. I would also recommend putting it in the middle on either the left or right, because you'll notice if you go to Twitch and you look for somebody's stream, you'll be able to see that if they have their camera in the top left or bottom right, etc., like all of the corners, it can often be covered by different things. So it's good to have it in the middle so people can sort of see you before they've even clicked you. And then alerts, I recommend just putting it somewhere it's not going to sort of be obtrusive to the gameplay, because if they keep popping up and covering the main game, it's going to be a little bit annoying. Just as an extra little useful tip, you can also lock these, so once you've got your webcam in a place you like it, it then won't let you select it and accidentally move it around. Again, it's probably worth doing that once you've got everything in a place you like it, just lock it in place. That way you're not going to accidentally click and drag it around. And whenever you add other stuff, it's not going to sort of get in the way. But now let's move on to adding stuff like a starting screen, a BRB screen, an end screen, and a just chatting screen, anything you want essentially. So to do that, you want to come back over to scenes rather than sources and add another scene. This time let's call it stream starting, for example. Click OK, and then you'll notice that it's blank again. We've got a new fresh batch of sources to work with, and you can go back to your streaming one by just clicking it, like so. But let's go back to stream starting for now. And then in terms of adding a start screen, obviously find some artwork online that you want to use. I have a website as well that you can go to find some free and very cheap art if you just want like a nice pack. The pack I'm using this video will actually be available just for £1 over there if you wanted a nice easy get-go. But you want to click plus on sources and then add, for my one, it'll be a media source because it's animated. But again, if it's still, just pick image, but I'm going to go media source. I'm going to call it start screen this time just so I know exactly what it is. Click OK, and then find it on your computer by browsing the files. Remember again to click loop if you want it to loop if it's animated, and then click OK. And there we go, you've got your stream starting soon screen here, and you can click back and forth between those as you wish. So when you're starting your stream, have this one open, maybe have your mic muted as well so people can't hear you in the meantime, and you'll be good to go. You've probably guessed that the same process goes for making a BRB screen. So add a scene, make it BRB, click a plus, media source or image depending on animated or still, call it something like BRB screen, click OK, browse, you found it, you looped it, you clicked OK, and it's good to go. And again, you can resize like this, like mine came a little bit big there. And bosh, you've got a BRB screen, you've got a stream starting screen, and you've got a streaming screen. And you guessed it, if you want to do an ending screen, click a scene, call it ending, click OK, sources, plus, media or image, ending screen, click OK. You found it, you looped it, you clicked OK, your stream's ending. Not too bad, eh? Now in terms of a just chatting screen, if you wanted to have one of those as well, it's a little bit more of a step, but you probably know how to do it by now just from the other steps that I've shown you. So again, click a scene, just chatting for argument's sake, click OK, plus in sources, media or image, call it just chatting screen. Click OK, you found it, you looped it, you press OK, you got a chatting screen. And now you'll notice this is where we come on to the extra step. So just like you did in the streaming one here with your webcam, you can add that again in your just chatting scene. So click a plus, click video capture device. This time you'll see that it says add existing because you've already got your webcam and another source. So just do that one and click OK. Then you've got it on this screen and you can move it around as you wish to fit this fancy little box. So for my example, it will be a little bit wider than it normally is. And like I said before, hold down Alt and you can drag this down to fit and get it going. And now you've got a little chatting screen and you might be thinking, yeah, but where's the chat though? Well, you can also add that as well as adding it over here too. You can add it anywhere you wish, but let's add it to this one. My cat has joined us, by the way, so apologies. So to add your chat, you're going to first want to go back across to Streamlabs, that same browser you used to get your alerts earlier on. So once you're here, underneath alert box that you used before is all widgets, and this is where you can add a bunch of stuff to your stream, in fact, like different pop-ups and such, but this is where you're going to find your chat as well. You can also add bars here, etc. if you want to. Again, I won't overcomplicate it, but these all work the same way that the chat will work. So if you want to do any of these, follow the same steps as what I'm about to do for the chat box, but for these instead. But you'll see the chat box is right at the top. You can also stream down as a big old list of them here. You can click either one, but either way, it will show you how to do it in a helpful little video. But you've already clicked on a helpful video today, so no need to go across. Like, please, just stay with me, I'm helping. You'll notice it has a sort of basic one for you already, and again, same rules apply. You can click to copy this and don't share it with anyone else. You can also customize it if you want it to look a little bit more fancy, but just to show you how to do it, I'll just use the basic built-in one as it is already without customizing it. So once you've copied this link, go back over to OBS, and similar to how you added your alerts, you want to click plus on the sources, click browser, call it chat box or anything that you want to that makes you remember what it is, and instead of that fancy little OBS link, you want to paste in your chat. Click OK, and then you'll have your little chat box here, and again, you can sort of adjust this so it fits here, and again, you can click Alt and you can sort of drag in and out different parts of this to make it fit as you would like it to, essentially. Once you've got it to size, again, you can test this too. So go over to your Twitch chat and just type in some chat messages. You notice that as I type different letters, it all pops up in chat there. And again, you can customize this completely through Streamlabs. So this is just the basic look of how a chat would be. You can also add this as a source in your streaming section. So if you did want to chat sort of underneath you here, again, just click plus, do browser, pop it here as well, and it will pop up for you as it would over on the just chatting screen, but on your screen here too, in case you wanted a little chat underneath you on your normal gaming stream. So all in all, it should look something like this, and your little alerts will pop up here, and basically you've got everything you need then to go live from the get-go. The last thing I want to touch on is just a few different extras and a few different bits of settings that will help you stream without too many issues with lag and stuff like that. Now in terms of audio, if you don't have a very expensive mic or you're worried that your mic doesn't sound great, you can go into the advanced audio properties here and you can change a few things of your mic settings here. You can also monitor it, so you can monitor and output your mic, which means that you'll be able to hear yourself speaking as you're speaking, as well as putting it onto stream. So if you did want to sort of monitor how you're sounding, people tend to do this a lot for podcasts. It's a good way of keeping an eye on your audio yourself. You can also click on filters on those three dots as well. This is where you can add stuff like a compressor and other effects here by clicking the plus icon. It has limiters, noise gates, noise suppression. So if you have any issues with background noise, it's good to come in here and sort of make your mic sound pro without having to spend on a pro mic. Another cool thing to set up is scene transitions. You can get stingers and stuff that make it look all fancy like animations, but they do have a built-in fade and cut. I recommend doing a 300 millisecond fade, which I believe is the default, because that way when you switch between these, you'll notice it kind of fades a little bit nicer when you click between your scenes. By the way, if you do switch between your scenes and you come back and your game is missing, like mine was there a second when it's black screen, just open your game again. On game capture especially, it will sometimes, when your game is minimized, get rid of it, but it will pop straight back up. You can avoid that by doing the window capture option or the display capture option, but it just depends on preference. I think game is best for gaming because it's sort of optimized for it, but again, you can use either of those three, but don't panic if this happens. So you'll notice there's a dock option here too, which is another great option if you want to add some extra bits and widgets to your screen. It can be very helpful. One of them I recommend is having stream labels, which just means anytime someone follows you, subscribes, donates, it will pop up in a big list right next to your stream. That way, if someone does follow and you miss it on your OBS, you can have a list of it so you can give them a little shout out and be like, hey, thanks for following, man, etc. So to add that, go to docs, super simple, custom browser docs. I've already got mine here, but essentially what you want to do is create a name. So I called mine labels. You just type it in here and then pop the link to it here. The link there is just from the Streamlabs again. You'll notice that above alert box, you'll have recent events. Basically, all you want to do, click the link here and you'll notice there's a big list here and it just makes this appear over an OBS for you. So if you click apply, close that one down, go back to docs, you'll see at the bottom now, whatever you created will be here. And if you click it, bam, you've got a nice little list and you can kind of drag it as well to make it bigger or smaller. And that way, if anyone does follow or anything like that, you can replay the alert like this. And in general, if you've missed it and you do want to give people a shout out, it's just there and it's nice to sort of have that monitored. You can also add other helpful options like your chat, for example, by just going back into custom browser docs and adding chat and putting your link there. You can add anything you want essentially, as long as it's a URL that works and you think it would be helpful for you, just do it, man. And that way it keeps it all in one screen as well, which I love, so I don't have to dedicate another monitor to my chat or my labels. And you don't have to have it open on like another device, like your phone, your laptop, your nan's computer. It's just easier, man. By the way, my cat has just decided to go completely to sleep on the back of my chair, which is super cute. Now, if that doesn't deserve a like and subscribe, I don't know what does, man. But the last thing I will touch on that is actually a lot more important than you might think is the settings to stream to make sure that you're not laggy, you're not sort of dropping frames, your bitrate's okay, etc. So you want to go to settings here, and I'll quickly just fly through each of these sections just so you know exactly what you're kind of looking at in depth. So the first one's general. This is some very basic stuff that you wholeheartedly do not need. Stream is of course just where you logged in earlier on. Now output is where it gets nice and zesty. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, I would recommend leaving this on simple. You can go on to advanced and change a bunch of different stuff here. Honestly, if you're just starting out, don't overcomplicate it. Just make sure that your stream quality is good, your stream looks nice, and don't panic too much, man. As long as you're streaming good quality HD streams, you're fine. Now there is a link that I'll put in the description, but I'll also sort of throw it up on screen here. Twitch has a recommended bitrate based on the quality that you want to be outputting, and your internet speed is also a big part of that. So in terms of your bitrate, you might think the higher the better. Typically, it sort of caps at around 6,000 if you want a 1080p stream. But again, your bitrate is completely indicative of your internet. So you want to go to test your internet on one of the many sites to do that beforehand. Make sure you've got the upload speed that supports the bitrate. For example, 6,000 megabits, I'll throw on screen now. If your internet doesn't match the upload speed for this and has a little bit of a buffer as well, it's not worth doing it because you will just have a bad bitrate. Your stream might lag, it might completely end your stream, it could make it a really bad experience for you and anyone that clicks on it. But typically, if you want the 1080p, 60 FPS, or general HD with some nice moving frames, you kind of want 6,000 bitrate. Again, make sure your internet can do that. But there's nothing wrong with doing a 720 720p stream, and I'll show you how to do that in these settings in the next few sections. You also have an encoder preset here, so I recommend doing good or better quality. You might think slow sounds bad, but honestly quality is king. You don't want a laggy and frame droppy, bitrate-y looking stream. This bit here, if you care about your recordings and you are recording your streams as well, because you can do both, you can set it up here to record where it will go to in your PC. But again, that's all for recording, not streaming, so let's move on to audio. This is where you can set up your audio early on as well. I tend to do it down here where I showed you, but again, if you prefer, you can set it all up here and add extra different bits. You can also add some decay, hotkeys as well if you want to do push to talk, if you're in a Discord, for example, maybe if you're playing Among Us. And you notice that all of your sources and scenes will be named here as you set them up, which is why I recommended naming them things that you would remember, and that would be obvious, because that way if you do want to specifically change audio or any settings for them, it's all labeled as you want it to be. Now going down to video, this is where you can change your stream output. I play games that have a lot of movement, like MMOs and shooters and stuff like that, FPS games, so I typically go for my base resolution being HD because that's how you want to sort of play it, but the output I have 720p because it's still HD, it looks just fine, and I have a higher bitrate to kind of make it look a little bit smoother, because you'll notice very quickly when you start streaming, if you do have an intensive game and not a very high-end PC, it can sometimes cause some choppy frames, some dropped frames even, and just general lag and kind of like grainy screens essentially. It's happened to me many times when trying to find the right settings, so honestly, don't be ashamed to put it to 720p here if you're playing those kind of games, and you can up it to 1080 if you have games with sort of less movement and more basic stuff like Among Us. And again, FPS, I leave mine on 30, either do 30 or 60. Realistically, you don't really need the in-between values, unless again, you know exactly what you want and exactly what you're doing, then maybe don't listen to me. And the hotkey section is exactly what it says it is. I recommend using your number pad on your keyboard. It can be basically like a Stream Deck, like an Elgato Stream Deck in one. It's very basic, but that way you can sort of mute yourself, hide screens, hide your webcam, etc. It's a good thing to have, especially if you have quite a lot of pop-ups and different stuff that you want on your stream in the long run. Accessibility, you can mostly leave alone. If you're colorblind or have any issues with any colors, you can change that here. And then in advanced, a lot of this is just general stuff that you won't really need. But once you've changed everything that you do want to, make sure you press apply. Don't forget to do that, because I do it every single time. And forgive me if I've forgotten anything, but I believe that is everything you need to go live. So next time you're going live, stream starting, bam, move it across, bam, you've got your pop-ups, you've got your game, you've got your chat, you've got your webcam, and then you've got all of these different things that you can do. So just chatting, BRB, ending, in case you need to go for, you know, a pee. But that's everything, guys. So hopefully that's helped you out. Remember, I've got a website if you want some free artwork. I've also got a Discord full of like graphics designers, video editors, Twitch streamers. So if you want to join those people and look for some sort of help, advice, come there. Again, abuse me in the comments if I haven't helped you go live, or if you have any questions about this or any struggles, I'm more than happy to help out. Also, feel free to reach out to me in the Discord, as I said. And subscribe if you want more helpful tutorials like this. I have loads of other videos on the channel of how to customize things in more depth if you want to make your stream look nice and snazzy, as well as some tutorial-based content on how to get going with different elements of streaming on Twitch and other platforms. Leave a like on this if it helped you out. It will help me out super well, and good luck with your stream. I'm sure you'll nail it, and I'll see you next week with another video like this one. Mwah.